Broads Media.
Terrible! Such a bad loss from your Philadelphia Eagles today. We're going to talk about it all. If you're new to the channel, though, smash the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all the support. I love you guys so much. And real quickly, if you're looking to buy Eagles tickets, NBA tickets, NFL tickets, NHL tickets, tickets for sporting events, go to SeatGeek and utilize the promo code BROADS at checkout for $20 off. I'm basically giving you $20 to eliminate the fees right from the jump. It's a no-brainer. So make sure you get yourself to a game soon. Promo code BROADS. And with that, enjoy the show. Oh, ew, that was horrible. Raise your hand if you saw a 13-7 loss happening to the terrible New York Giants. And I'm not going to run away from what I stated in the Football Friday podcast. I thought the Birds were going to annihilate them, absolutely tear the heads off of their damn necks. But the only reason why I thought possibly they wouldn't is if the Eagles shoot themselves in the foot. And that's how I saw this game play out. Look, the Giants scored 13 points. Did Daniel Jones make a couple throws here and there? Sure, but at the end of the day, the reason why the Eagles lost is because they did not execute the right way. Their game plan was putrid on top of that. I mean, I thought it was a disaster. You saw your team compete at a high level doing something else. Doing something completely different than what you headed into the game doing. You know Jalen Hurts is not the greatest thrower in the world. Why was your identity today trying to establish the passing game as much as you did when the Giants suck at stopping the run? I don't want to hear that. Well, Jason Kelce got hurt, and then Jack Driscoll got hurt, and then he didn't have Jordan Howard, and then Miles Sanders got hurt. You saw what happens in the third quarter when you stick to your strengths. You did not stick to your strengths. So I start the blame with Nick Sirianni. Jalen Hurts was not good. That was a poor performance by Jalen Hurts. But this is what I'm sick of. Now you have the anti-Hurts people who have been waiting around for this type of game. He sucks. He's the worst ever. He's fucking awful. And then when he has a great game like you saw against Denver, you hear he's the franchise guy. He's amazing. He's absolutely 1,000% the answer. Both are not right. Both are way too extreme. Both are way too emotional. Reality is it's somewhere in between. This isn't going to dictate fully what you see week in and week out. And it's okay as long as the offense is surrounded properly with the quarterback. It's okay if throwing the ball isn't necessarily your absolute strength as long as you can make the timely, efficient throws. Now, those interceptions can happen. Right before half, you put your team at such a disadvantage by not logging in any points because he's trying to extend the play, and you can blame it Nick Sirianni for some play calls, this and that. Here's what I do know. You left so many damn points on the board. You had penalties. Nate Herbig getting caught for holdings, taking Boston Scott's touchdown off the board. Greg Ward, that catch has to be made in the end zone. It has to be made. It has to be caught. And I've been screaming for more Greg Ward if Jalen Reagor's not going to give you anything. And how ironic that before Greg Ward missed that touchdown pass, he had an excellent catch at the 2-yard line to set themselves up in first and goal territory. But then by the end, I mean, the ironic keeps continuing. How ironic it is keeps continuing because Jalen Hurts threw a game-winning throw right on the damn money to put the Eagles up 14-13 after the extra point. And yes, I'm just throwing in there that I expected someone like Jake Elliott to cash in that extra point right on the damn money. And we talk about how putrid his throws were, double coverage to Jalen Reagor in another area of the game. Bad. Now, the first interception, I don't know, was it a miscommunication between him and Quez Watkins? Was Quez Watkins held? Were they not on the same page? Okay, I'll chalk that up to it seemed like there was something happening because they even showed a bit on the sideline And there was some talk happening between a lot of guys. All right, some confusion. It happens. How do you respond from there? Well, you don't respond with throwing a couple more touchdowns where you have to understand awareness. I get on Miles Sanders all the time because he is not smart. He's actually dumb at times, or when he needs to stay in bounds, he runs out of bounds. He doesn't follow his blocks fully the way that he should. Well, when Jalen Hurts is right by the goal line and realizes, hey, if this play doesn't work, we can at least throw it away and kick a damn field goal so we can head into the half, knowing we get the football back for the second half to gain some sort of momentum. But with the way Jalen Reagor ended this thing, it just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth. One throw, and I should say maybe two throws, doesn't really take away how bad Jalen Hurts was. Jalen Hurts was bad, but it doesn't mean he doesn't know how to play. It doesn't mean that there's no upside. It doesn't mean that there's nothing to his skill set, even though he's a stronger runner than he is a passer. When the team and the coach and the game plan is actually based around what the quarterback's strengths are, you beat the number one defense in the league in the New Orleans Saints. Granted, Simeon stinks, and they didn't have any players on their offensive line, and they didn't have playmakers either, so they weren't as much of a threat on their offensive side, which plays a role in probably how much swagger they have defensively, because when they do make stops, it's very tough for you to have confidence that your offense is going to do anything with it, and over a 60-minute effort, it wears you down. But we've seen against Denver on the road, when you coach to the strengths of the quarterback, you see a significantly different offense. Whether that's good enough 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road over a long period of time, I don't know. But I know it's better than scoring 7 points on this putrid football team. And for everyone who demands Jonathan Gannon to blitz, they pick that damn blitz apart. And I'm not here going to criticize Jonathan Gannon today because you give up 13 points, you are in a position to win that football game. And I'm not staring at you and saying you're an issue, even though there was that one drive where they went down to kick the field goal, and they were also picking on Steven Nelson. It's funny. They kept going at the early stages at Darius Slay. Darius Slay breaks it up, and then Darius Slay breaks up another one. I'm thinking, why is Daniel Jones targeting the right side? Go to the left. Go to Steven Nelson. And then third down, big flag, pass interference. It makes a lot more sense to go in that direction for sure. But it's just, I'm pointing out the fact that you can't blitz all the damn time because they picked it up perfectly, whether it was a screen pass or they just made plays happen off of it when you sent the pressure. I watched Alex Singleton with like pass rush, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Oh, jeez. Is that what we're doing right now? Ultimately, though, the last person or the last unit that deserves criticism is that defensive unit. I just do have to highlight that when Jonathan Gannon did bring the pressure, it didn't work very well. I expected this defensive line to get way more pressure on Daniel Jones than they did. Believe it or not, Derek Barnett stood out a couple times. He had a big tackle for loss that definitely generated some sort of momentum and some sort of life there in the second half. That's where the Eagles responded with running the ball. Jalen Hurts using his legs. Boston Scott using his legs. It's not ironic that they go down and score a touchdown to make the game 10-7 when they went back to their philosophy that is what they're really good at. So that's where I'm bothered. It goes back to the game plan. And I said, looking through the schedule the rest of the way, if you look at the Eagles compared to the Giants, the Jets, Washington, the Eagles are better on paper. Now, paper doesn't mean anything in the NFL, but the only way I see them failing is if they get away from what's worked. And I didn't think they really would because after so many weeks, it's like, yeah, why? Why would you? How could you possibly? Yet they did. Dallas Goedert. This dude is a playmaker, not getting the football enough. Devontae Smith. Now, was he missed late in the game and he's pissed off throwing his helmet? Yeah. The screenshots on Twitter don't tell the full story because there's guys in the end zone and there's help over the top maybe before the screenshot that's going viral on Twitter. Yeah, Devontae Smith was open, but Jalen Reagor was hit right in the damn hands twice. Now, I have two problems here. One, with Nick Sirianni saying this, we got to find ways to get him working in this offense because he's an explosive player. that tells me that they are trying to get him the ball more. So when you're screaming, how come you're looking at Reagor more than Smith? How come you're looking at Reagor and Ward and Gainwell more than Smith? I think that they're trying to force Reagor into this offense way too damn much. Sirianni even stated it. He said, we got to get him going because he's explosive. Well, that's literally the information we're looking for. Why? Because they want Jalen Hurts to. They want this guy to get the football in his hands. When it's clear as hell, he can't play. I'd rather have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who made another catch today, which is damn hilarious, and Greg Ward, even though he missed the play in the end zone. I'd still rather have Greg Ward over Jalen Reagor. And here's something else that bothers me. With Devontae Smith going up to coach in the game saying, I want the damn ball. And then Nick Sirianni goes down the road of, well, it wasn't really there with what he wanted to do. Excuse me? If Devontae Smith with killer eyes says, give me the ball, I want the ball, you know what you do? You reward him and give him the football. Now, if Jalen Reagor says it, you don't. If some of these scrubs say it, you don't. If Goddard, if Smith, if these guys say it, you dial up something to make sure he's the main target, he's your answer, he's getting that target. That's what you do. So I don't like the way that Nick Sirianni dialed this thing up. He took 5 steps backwards, 1,000%. Look, no disrespect to the Giants, but they scored 13 points. And some of these catches, like, oh yeah, they were in double coverage, good coverage. Just bad decision-making by Jalen Hurts that shouldn't happen. It's self-inflicted wounds more than it is. The other team is so spectacular and so special that they forced you into these situations. No, they didn't. You just did it on your own, which is way more difficult for me to swallow. It's that much more painful when that is the case. And I'll go back to another possession that fully describes the disaster. Eagles. All right, so at this time it's 10-7. The Eagles scored on a really good drive running the rock. Then Barkley gets stopped for a 1-yard gain. Jones has an awful throw. It's 3rd and 9. Josh Sweat gets to Daniel Jones, hits him pretty hard. The Eagles get the football back. Boston Scott runs 3 times for a first down. Then it gets to 3rd and 4 in Giants territory. Giants collapse the pocket. Jalen Hurts can't get a throw up. But it was 3 straight passes. What are we doing here? And at times it's 3rd and 2. It's 4th and 2. We're going to Gainwell. We're going to Reagor. In these passing situations, where does it make sense where the strength of your team, it's like you just ran for a first, nonstop, run. And I get it, you can't run all the time. But the decision-making all around, and it starts with the head coach, it starts with the game plan, it starts with the identity they tried to dictate early on. They got away from what worked with them throughout the last handful of games. And it bothers me because there's no way in hell that should be the case. There's just no way. There's no way. The toughness of Jordan Howard is big. And there's no doubt that he's more of a simplistic running back who just hits the hole, gives you your 5 yards, 6 yards, and he's brutal to tackle. And over time, that wears you down if you're an opponent. But, and even with Miles Sanders gone, Boston Scott, Gainwell, Jalen Hurts. How many times did Jalen Hurts beautifully read what he needed to read and then have a nice big gashing hole and had some massive yards, over 10 yards? A lot of times, especially on the touchdown drive. But no, we're dropping him back and forcing him to throw. And you know what? If your response is, well, that means he's not good enough. You can't rely on it right now fully. I got you. But this was a very winnable game. I'm not talking about the big picture for the billionth time on if he's the guy or not. I'm game by game studying and analyze what we have. I have my concerns, and they are legit to have concerns about his throwing arm. With that said, you could get way more out of Jalen Hurts than what the coaching staff just got out of Jalen Hurts, and they've been doing that over the last handful of games, and then they just forgot about it today, which eats me alive inside. I don't know how you can just forget about it. That's what's disappointing to me more. The head coach, he took steps backwards. Trying to get cute, trying to get fancy. Did he smell himself too much? Thinking, oh, we're good. Oh, we're an outrageous football team. Let's try and beat teams in another way now to show our worth because the Giants are bad. The Giants were missing guys throughout the game, all banged up. Come on, man. They can't stop the run. The numbers tell you that. You scoring on a touchdown drive tells you that. Ridiculous. There was one drive here that I really love. This is the one that unfortunately did not result into any points right before half, but it started off with Sanders getting a gain of 2. Then Hurts, huge run, but there was a Nate Herbig hold. 2nd and 12, Sanders picks up 11, which was a really big run by him, and you're by your own end zone at the time, so the fact that you were able to get yourself in 3rd and manageable when you were flirting around your own end zone is massive after a penalty. 3rd and 1, you go to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who picks up some yards for you. Hurts runs for 5. Scotts runs for a first down. Lane Johnson, massive on the block. Hurts, amazing read and took it on 2nd and 8. And that was massive for him. 4-yard throw to Quez Watkins on first down. Another amazing keep by Jalen Hurts. The threat of Hurts results in a Scott touchdown, but Nate Herbig actually had another penalty. And let me just say this about Nate Herbig. This is what's going to happen. I know it is, and we saw this with the Andre Dillard playing right tackle thing. Everyone watched that and then just said that he can't play. He's horrendous. He's pathetic. Yeah, he's not very good at right tackle. We've seen him play left tackle and hold his own. I don't think Nate Herbig was suited today best to kind of go in there and play better at guard. I've seen him play well at guard. At the center position, he's having some hiccups. I don't think all of a sudden that Nate Herbig is the biggest disaster in the entire world and he's a fraud and he's embarrassing. I mean, that's the type of reaction that we saw. Now, Landon Dickerson's supposed to be your center of the future whenever Jason Kelce's career is over. Could you have slid him over to center and then have Nate Herbig play guard or just move around things? But they tell us they don't like to do that. If you can just fix one position and keep everything else intact, they like to do that instead. And Jason Kelce ended up returning eventually, and that slid when Jack Driscoll got banged up and carted off. That slid Nate Herbig back to the guard position. So, you could have made that argument, and especially after you saw the results, maybe that's something that they elect to do down the road if something is to happen again to Jason Kelce, who's clearly not 100% and fighting through his body being banged up. And you could see his frustration when he was on the sidelines, when he was trying to get his body right to get back out there. Just something to keep your eye out on. So, yeah, I just want to be clear that just because this happened, I'm not ruling out Nate Herbig and the fact that he can never play. No, let's just relax here. There were some brutal penalties, though. And once again, that's shooting yourself in the foot, which we've seen early on. As long as they don't fall back to what they did early on, they should be okay. And they took penalties, and those penalties took touchdowns off the board, and they had drop passes. This is why they were not winning a lot of football games in the earlier stages of this season, and then it showed its ugly head today, which, you could say that the last couple of weeks isn't really who they are, and what they showed you in the beginning of the season is not really who they are. They're somewhere in between at the end of this. It's just they're showing their pros, they're showing their cons, and then they're going to have deficiencies and they're going to have ups and downs because of them being a young team and not fully established yet, where their head coach isn't strong enough to not fall back into the failures. He's young. This is what happens. You have your ups or downs, just like with the quarterback position. The quarterback today had his downs, but let's not forget that he's had some really strong moments this season. And I used to be more concerned that his best trait is running and his best trait is utilizing his legs, but I also feel that you can do a lot of damage in this league with that being the case. It just needs to be implemented the right way. It's got to be called the right way with play calls. The designs have to be right as well, and you need to be healthy too, which definitely plays a role, but still so much more meat left on the bone out there with or without the injuries. I'm sorry, you have to annihilate this football team, and you should have been able to. And here's another thing that upsets me about the Jalen Hurts despisers, or just the fact that he's targeting Reagor. It's not his fault that Reagor's out there. When When you're in the pocket and guys that are 350 pounds are chasing you down and Jalen Reagor's wide open, it's not Jalen Hurts' mind, his process in his mind should not be, oh, I can't throw it to him because it's Jalen Reagor and he sucks, but I got to continue to move around and find somebody else. No, this is what he's handed. This is his first-round draft pick, and Jalen Reagor, who's out there, he's got to let it fly. That was a dot. That was right on the money. Both of those plays were right on the money. And here's what I know. It doesn't take away from all of the bad throws, but with the game on the line twice, my man delivered game-changing throws. He did. Now, if you don't fuck up all the times that you did earlier, you're not in the position to have to play hero ball. No doubt about it. He does not get a free pass whatsoever. But I can't pretend that there was a ton of adversity hit. There was, 1:11 on the clock with no timeouts when they got the football back. Gainwell for 6, ran out of bounds. Gainwell, same exact thing, ran out of bounds. Reagor ends up missing that play that was right there in his hands, right in the breadbasket. He came up with a crucial play when needed. That does not mean he did not make errors and he did not make mistakes. I guess I'm so sick and tired. I know nothing's going to happen about this anytime soon. This is just how people react. But when he has this game, the answer is he's fucking horrendous. And then when he plays the way he plays against the Saints and the Broncos, it's this guy's our franchise quarterback. I don't know. But to say that he hasn't done enough to keep you intrigued with this unique skill set, I think is unfair too. To expect him to just be dominant week in and week out is not fair. I expect him to be better than this, though, and it's fair to criticize with not going overboard. I'll criticize. Those throws were putrid. He needs to be smarter. We praise him all the time because why? Especially when the Carson Wentz stuff was more raw. Carson Wentz was consistently turning the ball over. Jalen Hurts wasn't. He wasn't fumbling. He wasn't throwing interceptions. And then when you do, you turned the ball over 4 times today. Boston Scott. It seemed like there was some juice. That drive was moving a little bit. 2:54 left. The score was 13-7. The Eagles held the Giants to a field goal. 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Throw to Reagor on first down. Didn't love it, but they got the first down. Scott run for 3. RPO to Smith for a first. That was actually a really sharp pass and a sharp play by Jalen Hurts. And then Scott gets the turnover. It looked like it kind of got hit out of his hands as he was chugging along and then trying to get as many yards as he possibly could. So it goes on a lot of people when you lose this way. I really don't look at the defense too much. You can nitpick things here and there. Your defensive line did not get enough pressure. When you sent the blitz, it got beat, and Steven Nelson got torched a few times. Avonte Maddox came up with a large play on 3rd down late, which was awesome. It was 3rd and 7. It was 3rd and 2, and then there was a flag on the Giants consistently putting themselves in tough spots in the red zone. Then it became 3rd and 7. Avonte Maddox came up with a really big pass breakup that was large. He almost had an interception earlier. He was tiptoeing down the sidelines, but the ball was being bobbled, and he did not have clear possession as his feet were in bounds, unfortunately. So, it's like you came up big. It's 13-7. The ball is kind of moving in your favor a little bit, and before you know it, the ball pops out. It just can't happen. So the defense, I can't put too much blame on them. I look at the offense, and Nick Sirianni's the number one blame because I hated the game plan. And then I'll look at Jalen Hurts, and then I'll look at Jalen Reagor. And you can look at the flags, and there's a laundry list of things you can really analyze, but it begins with the head coach, one, and then the quarterback. It sucks. It definitely sucks. They had a chance. They had a chance to win this game. They had a chance to keep the thing moving here with all this positivity and all this buzz surrounding this team because of the way that they play a hard style of football, and they just got away from that, which is disappointing because there's no way in hell that should have happened. Now, let me tell you about my friends before we continue over at DeSimone Jewelers. They are my jewelers. I got my fiance's engagement ring from them, and it was the best decision of my life. They treat you like family. You're not just a customer where they're trying to make a quick buck. Will, Lou, Nick, Mike, you are family. They sit down. They have so much passion. The amount of passion we have for Eagles football, they have in jewelry. They work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. previously in Jewelers Row. They can provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, battery replacement, diamond setting, jewelry cleaning, and so much more. Make sure you tell them that Brode sent you. Their information is in the description down below, DeSimoneJewelers.com. How about the fact that the Giants ended up going for the field goal attempt from 51 yards or so? They botched that one. I would have went for it. I would have kept my foot on the gas, but they didn't. Typical Giants just being Giants. The Giants are not good. Don't be fooled. The Giants didn't play well. People will look at Daniel Jones afterwards, say there were some nice plays in there, and that's a product at times of Jonathan Gannon. But this falls in the category of the sort of like the Lions, where you can look at the completions and whatnot against Jared Goff and the Lions and the completion percentage. You can look against the Giants right now, too. That really doesn't dictate the game. I don't think the box score afterwards fully dictates what Daniel Jones was able to do and how strong he was. They scored 13 freaking points. 13 points in the NFL. How many times does that win you a football game? Very, 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 very rarely. So I'm not looking at the box score and his completion percentage and saying that there's much to it. There was one drive that annoyed me, and yes, it ended up being a field goal. They were moving downfield. The pressure was picked up. They were getting shredded, but that's when they got stopped and stalled in the red zone before Avonte Maddox made the play. I'm not going to criticize the defense very insanely, although I do see a lot of bashing going towards Jonathan Gannon because of that drive. I just feel that's a bit too strong, and it's a lot of box score studiers. It's just not the way I'm directing my frustration today. I got to see Jalen Hurts take strides, and what I'm fascinated about is what is his response going to be like? A lot of these players, Devontae Smith is pissed off, and he's furious. I like the fact that they are that way. Honestly, I like the way that they're being eaten alive inside. There's a lot of fire within their hearts. What does that mean when you play the New York Jets, who blow too? And it might not tell us a lot because of how weak the opponent is, but let's see a sharper version, a smoother version, a more detailed version, getting back to the basics and getting back to your strong points next week. Let's see what you do with that bottled up frustration and how you come out guns blazing next week. There's something to be said about handling the adversity with all these young guys. Nick Sirianni is handling a lot of adversity because he fell back into a trap. Jalen Hurts made poor decisions and poor throws all around. Devontae Smith is not happy, and he's letting his emotions pour out right now. I don't have a problem with that, but part of being a professional is, okay, how do I make sure that I can move past this in an efficient way with myself being so annoyed and upset? At the same time, take deep breaths and, okay, let's move forward the best that we can based off of this situation. And with Reagor, it sucks because that was miserable. I'll give him some credit here. I don't like Reagor. I don't like his personality. I don't like the way he necessarily handles himself or his family handles everything surrounding this situation on social media. But I will say this. I don't know what this means big picture, and honestly, it probably means nothing. He sat there and he looked everyone in the eyes afterwards. He stood right in that podium and he looked everybody in the eyes. For what it's worth. I get it. It's little. It's stupid. It's tiny. Not everybody does that. Not everybody can answer that. The one thing I'll disagree with, he said it's uncharacteristic. It's not uncharacteristic. Greg Ward dropping the pass is uncharacteristic. Jalen Reagor dropping passes, that's right on the money. That's right on brand. You have not lived up to the expectations. I will give him credit, though, for looking everybody in the eyes and saying, it can't happen, and that's on me. So for what it's worth, I do think that there's something to that. But ultimately, yeah, it's an upsetting loss because we had so much expectations riding on this one, as we should. Because if they stayed true to what worked, I don't think we're sitting here today. Or we're sitting here right now in these moments letting everything fly. I think it's as simple as you lost this yourself. No one took it from you. The other team didn't beat you. You beat yourself. And it's that much harder to swallow when that's the case. And when you go in with, well, the expectations weren't high this year to win a lot of games, you're right. And self-inflicted wounds were inevitable with such a young team. You're right. But based off of what we saw, sometimes the goalposts move. And your expectations change a little bit because they clearly showed they were a different team recently than they were the first couple of weeks. So why all of a sudden do you snap your fingers? Was it you were feeling yourself? Because the matchups say run. And it was still there to do it, regardless of the injuries. You saw that in the third quarter with the drive that resulted in a touchdown. And even with how they moved the ball before the half ended. They ran the ball. They mixed in some throws, but they ran the ball and they established themselves. They got down to the end zone. Can't happen. And look, it's not ironic here that when they get themselves in long, first and long, second and long, they have a tougher spot. So why not run to make it 2nd and 7? Even if it's 2nd and 8 to set up a 3rd and 4. When it's 1st and 18, it's difficult. 1st and 18, you get it to 2nd and 12 with Scott. Even to start the game off, Miles Sanders, this was the first drive for the Eagles, which resulted in a 3-and-out. Miles Sanders, 1-yard loss. So now you're 2nd and 11. Hurts with an inaccurate pass to Smith. 3rd and 11. Hurts takes off, punt. And this is when they only rushed 3 guys. They were rushing 3. There was more to be desired on that play and in that situation. But I bring that up to you because you look at 2nd and 11, you look at 1st and 18, you look at 2nd and 12. They have tougher times, more difficult times when you're set up in that position. So how do you not get in that position? Oh, I know. Maybe you put your foot on the gas a bit and you run. Incredible. It really is. We'll continue to talk about this throughout the week, of course. If you have not already, make sure you go to the Anytime Hotline and call in 856-442-9805. That's the phone number to hop in. It's a 24/7 voicemail box. And what I like to do the day after podcast, I like to react to those calls in a pod. So make sure you do that if you haven't already. And that's kind of where we're going to end this one. It's disappointing and it's deflating and it sucks. And clearly I'm pissed off. And everyone should be pissed off. But let's not take it to a massive extreme either and start defining everyone and everything. Except for Jalen Reagor. I think it's fair to define him. But we can't fully define. It's just part of the stepping stone of analyzing what you have. Yes, there was a hiccup. But how do you respond to the hiccup, I think, is more where I'm at instead of just claiming that, well, these guys are horrendous at their jobs in Sirianni and Hurts. I don't know. I've seen good from Sirianni. I've seen bad from Sirianni. I've seen good from Jalen Hurts. I've seen bad from Jalen Hurts. Only time will tell. But I still think that the upside is fresh. The upside is there. And I'm willing to still kind of play this thing out and see what Jalen Hurts can do, even with a bad game. Because if your expectations were he was never going to have a stinker and he was never going to force some bad throws, I don't know what to tell you. You were just wrong to question that. You're not wrong to question his arm and his ability to throw the ball when needed. That's fair. But let's not take it overboard and say that, well, I mean, just because it's bad right now, one, he can't get better at it. He can't be more efficient at it. And the fact that his ability to run isn't so impressive that, you know, it kind of plays that weighing game where he doesn't need to be an Aaron Rodgers or a elite gunslinger because he has other attributes that are awesome that, okay, you got to be better than what you are throwing the ball, especially what you did today. But if he's what he did against Denver more often than not, then we have something. Now, he's probably not going to be that all the time, and he's probably not going to be this all the time. So where does he fall? And if he falls in a category of something that works more times than not, of an efficient passer in timely situations, then we can live with it. We just don't know right now what the answer is, and that's why this growing process is what it is. We studied Carson Wentz for a while. He went 7-9 in his first year. We didn't know what he was. Everyone wanted Doug Peterson fired. He ended up staying. Carson Wentz had an MVP year. He's not an MVP guy every single season, but we had a 7-9 year of trying to study what he was. Right now, we're going through Jalen Hurts, and we're trying to study what he is. There's no way you know right now. You might lean a certain direction, but there's no way you fully 1,000% know right now. So let's just keep studying and see where it goes. With that being said, we're going to shut things down here. I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Broads, and I will see you next time.